In 1968, I had the great pleasure to run a pig for the President of the United States. How many of you out there remember Pegasus Pig? Yes. Pegasus, the first female black and white candidate for that high office. We broke an incredible amount of ground then. And then in 1972, we actually ran a rock for President of the United States. I discovered the Zippies were running a rock. We came back from over the Great Water and discovered this fact. I called them up. I said, look, if you liked our pig, you're going to love our rock. I've got this Balls rock that we found at the base of Mount Ararat with this Tibetan prayer. All hail to the flower of the jewel of the lotus, which is God that lives in your heart, or some shit like that, carved right into the rock. And naturally, we ran a roll for vice president. And at the different rallies, we would cook up like bagels, jelly rolls. In fact, John Cipollina and Nick Gravenitis did a big benefit at the committee with the rock surrounded by jelly roll, and somebody had dosed me. And as people came in, I kept giving them little bites of the vice president, the jelly roll, and people became convinced the jelly roll was electric, and they started getting out there, and I didn't tell them. Okay, then I spaced the rock out in a taxi cab in New York City. And we were on the radio in New York, and in the Village Voice, have you seen this rock? Nobody saw the fucking rock. I was in deep trouble. And then, from the very bottom of the spinal telegraph, came the message. Nobody is perfect. Why not run nobody for president? Let's hear it one time for nobody. And it all seemed to make such incredible sense that I believed in my heart of hearts that nobody should have that much power, and that nobody was in Washington right now working for me. So that was the least that I could do. I tell the Native Americans I empathize with your cause, but nobody was here first. So we go way, way back there. Plato, Silly Putty, Aristotle, nobody was here a long time. And nobody totally understands the economy. Nobody bakes apple pie better than mom. Nobody lowered your taxes. Nobody's done all this shit for me. What can I do for nobody? So I began to work for nobody, letting nobody run my life. And I became nobody's fool and collected a lot of similar people around me. We put together a bus. They had the Air Force One. We call it the Nobody One. Because if nobody wins, nobody loses. It's a pair of ducks. So we filled it with rock and roll musicians and set off across the free world campaigning for nobody. In 1976, first of all, I had the pleasure of buying out every red rubber nose in Kansas and Missouri, putting them on the under-the-counter culture and circumnavigating the Republicans in the Kempner Arena. And the cops could not club the clowns on the color TV. Why? Again. Exactly. And then I gave my nose to the best cop and and there come John Bryant, who used to edit Open City here in San Francisco, an old newsie who worked with Cassidy on the newspapers back in LA. And he gave me his laminated press pass to get into the World Press booth because he had to go somewhere else, I assume, far, far away. So I slipped on a three-piece suit, usually reserved for Halloween, and went in as nobody's ambassador and sat down and started typing up press releases for nobody, writing down all that stuff we're just talking about and handed them to the world press because they're right there. And it was then that I am grabbed by these plainclothes Kansas City cops. And they circumnavigate me, thrust me into a Lenny Bruce curtain call, and start patting me down. And they feel this bulge in my pocket. And they said, well, I got to tell you, that for the rallies, when we have a nobody rally, nobody drives in an open convertible in the middle of the rock and roll, and then nobody gets out and speaks. And we use these wind-up plastic teeth for the speeches. And all the TV guys push each other to get better shots of the teeth and all that stuff. So they feel this bulge in my pocket. The cop says, is that a gun? And they whip it out, and the teeth start clicking in his hand. This is a true story. I said, quiet, our leader is speaking. He gave me back the teeth. He said, get out of here, you're too weird to arrest. It was Hunter Thompson who said, when the going gets tough, the weird turn pro. Barry Melton, ladies and gentlemen, yeah. That's who I'm here for. Let's see, what have I got in my pocket here? I got teeth. Ooh, this is a new clown prop here. I love bizarre shit. This is a modified Bic pen here. Check this out. I'm the first kid on the block that have this stuff. The bubble pen. I was once going to assassinate Nixon with a Bic pen. They had this ad on TV where they would take this Bic pen and put it in a gun and shoot it through a board and write with it. I was going to say, eat Bic, Dick. It's mightier than the sword. Ram Dass talked me out of it. He said, you must love Nixon. So I created this like puja shrine with a light up dickhead that I used to anoint with Tiger Balm, which is kind of like hip Vicks. And it kind of decriminalized the Nixon image here. Let's see, I'm wearing my Camp Win a Rainbow t-shirt. That's something I do in my life. Camp Win a Rainbow is a circus and performing arts camp. I've been running for 19 years. Kids learn timing, balance, how to duck with a sense of humor. And we just started adult camp on the 27th of June. We're doing adult camp, experimental adult camp, which is just like regular kids camp, except you can fuck and you don't have to brush your teeth. So, anybody wants any information about camp, you can ask me about that. Let's see. This is Bruce, the bluegill here. My chromosomes have amnesia. You know how that is? So I lose my phone numbers in my wallet a lot, but not since I started putting them in Bruce. At Sammy's Romanian in New York City, I was getting in a cab driving away. A waiter chased me half a block, waving this thing, screaming, "Sir, you forgot your fish!" And every time it goes out there, I get it back. I'm about to ascend to flavorhood. The very wonderful entrepreneurs Ben and Jerry have selected me to be the second living flavor, and my flavor is coming out on June 1st, called Wavy Gravy. There's some young ladies, they say, I can't wait to taste your flavor. I don't know what to say to that. Actually, I am a blend of Brazil nut is the basic flavor. Brazil nut with, so already we're saving the rainforest. To this, for decadence, we add big, thick chocolate chunks. And then the slivers shake from rainforest crunch, tied together by this thick caramel swirl. The most politically correct ice cream known to humankind. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the freezer. And the royalties go to my scholarship program for Win a Rainbow. Every year we raise a bunch of money to send kids, homeless kids, battered kids, kids from reservations and refugee camps. And we could use your help on that too if you're interested in helping send some kids to camp. Before I leave, I'm going to read one offering from a book I have coming out June 1st called Something Good for a Change. It's coming out in St. Martin's Press. And having decided to write a piece on garbage, I tentatively approached the typewriter, pondering the possibilities. And be it by magic or sheer coincidence, I opened the New Whole Earth Review, Spring 91, to page 94, and an excellent article by long-term contributor Sparrow entitled Garbage in Mind. This simple blast of homespun kitchen synchronicity might blow away a less accustomed mind. My own interest merely peeked around the present to the past, well paved with cosmic connections. Witness the yarmulke Lenny Bruce gave me the day before he died. We were out by his pool, high in the Hollywood Hills. I was rather raw and ranting from a recent acid trip, and he was the keeper of the law. Lenny really loved the law. He elevated it to something sacred. I thought the law treated Lenny Bruce like shit. Lenny Bruce laid the shit on the assholes who interpreted it. We had a deal going on, Lenny and I. A half an hour of law for a half an hour of light. On what would prove to be his last day of our little deal, the clouds hung like hungry lions over the tinseled hills. Lenny Bruce looked me straight in the eye and said, "There is no death." This came